Welcome into Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW, Local 613 from the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk. I'm your host, Landon Knight, alongside Craig Sager. Craig, we have a wonderful show ahead of us today. I want to mention our game of the week again. That's going to be Grayson versus Colquitt County coming up this Friday night. You can tune in right here starting at 7:30 for our pregame show. Kickoff will be at 8 o'clock. We're going to have coverage of that game, and then you can stick around after until midnight. We're going to be talking about all the great second-round matchups. But, Craig, speaking of second-round matchups, who are some of the other games that you're going to have your eyes on heading into Friday night?
There's a bunch of them. I think one in 6A, when I was looking at the bracket and the amount of road teams that won, there's one quadrant that has a little more parity than the others. That's the top right. You had East Coweta going on the road, getting their victory. Now they're going to play Walton. I want to see how both those teams look in the second round because they've got a pretty favorable bracket. They avoid Carrollton, they avoid Grayson, they avoid Buford. Still got some talented teams in there, but how is Walton going to build off that big win over McEachern? I feel like it was a season-defining win. That's when people look back at it, they're going to look at the overtime losses to Roswell, to Marietta, the first game against McEachern, but they really have a chance. Additionally, this Walton team last year got exited in the first round by Valdosta. That was the first time under Coach Bruner that Walton had ever not made it out of the first round. And so this is a big opportunity for them. This team is super young. They're going to be returning their quarterback. Their top receiver is only a freshman. They have a really young group that really surprised me with how well they were able to handle the moment. This is a big opportunity for them to get another win against East Coweta, build off last week, and then really have a lot going for them into the future.
And Craig, just another matchup I want to ask about. Blessed Trinity is going to have to see Marist in this second round. Kind of how can you expect this matchup to play out?
Yeah, I feel like BT's happy with this matchup. I mean, there's a lot of teams that they've seen this year. When you look at Kell, you look at Milton, Cambridge, they've had some tough losses, Hebron Christian, but this Marist team, if there's any team that can match up with Marist, I feel like it is BT. But we were talking about it yesterday in the office. Marist is just so dangerous, and they look like this year's team is really flying under the radar. They haven't gotten that consideration as a team that could potentially make it to the finals. But you look at both sides of the ball this season. They had the loss to Jefferson week 1, 19-0. That's not surprising. Jefferson was at full strength. Marist was replacing their quarterback. They didn't look good in the scrimmage. They didn't have a spring practice because of the weather and a lot of two-sport athletes. So they really didn't start this season off in any sort of rhythm. And they've seemed to have returned to form. So this is I feel like it's a close matchup. These teams are really well familiar with each other. BT is equipped to stop the run. It's probably going to be low scoring. But, man, either of these teams, whoever makes it out of this matchup has a real big chance. North Oconee in that quadrant as well. But you look at how close both Marist played North Oconee in the state championship last year, and then BT played them in the semifinals last year. I feel like this is a pretty wide-open quadrant.
We also have our Georgia Elite Classic event coming up in Rome. That's going to be December 26th, 27th, and 28th. And Greg, we talk about how special this is for athletes, especially those middle school, high school male football players. But for flag football, this has really been able to grow the sport. Just talk about this opportunity and visibility that this brings flag players.
Yeah, without a doubt. And yesterday I talked about how this year we've got a bigger spotlight on the freshman game and the sophomore game because they aren't going to compete against each other. But last year was the first year we had the flag football games. Now it's going to be a senior game and then an underclassman game. Both of those matchups were incredible last year. The talent was off the charts. And I think a flag football all-star game has an even bigger appeal to me than the tackle football ones because you're really getting a collection of the top players in the state. They're so talented. You have a lot of girls that have been leading their respective teams the entire season. They're going to get to come out and just pretty much ball out, just give 100% effort, show what they're capable of. And last year we saw some incredible performances. Rin Kochel, I think she was from West Lawrence. She was a a player that came out that just made so many plays on both sides of the ball, ended up getting a scholarship opportunity. But I feel like when you look at the future of flag football and what's going to be the biggest appeal, it's going to be these all-star events. These, if you had like a professional league, it'd be their version of a Pro Bowl. It's not going to be like the NFL Pro Bowl where people are mad, no one's tackling. No, it's going to actually be elevated. So I feel like this all-star setting is very fitting for the sport of flag football.
And Craig, before we get into our Fast Break headlines, today we're going to get the opportunity to hear from Colquitt County coach Sean Calhoun. What are you most looking forward to hearing from him?
Well, I want to just hear what is the defensive game plan and what has he seen with this Grayson offense, because that to me is what makes this year's Grayson team so dominant. Their relentless pace, all their receivers, and just the efficiency they're passing the ball. You look at Deuce Smith, his numbers, he's close to like 80% in a lot of these matchups in terms of completion percentage. They have elite wide receivers. They've got a great run game too, but it is just the pace in which they play. They're going to have to find pressure. They're going to have to be conditioned, and physicality is always going to be the answer when you're playing Grayson.
Now let's take a look at our Fast Break headlines. Winder Barrow and head coach Robert Paxia have parted ways. Craig, just talk about what you saw from Coach Paxia and his time at Winder Barrow.
Yeah, this was interesting. I thought he did more than just a fair job. I mean, Winder Barrow is a team that you look at the last, I'd say, 8 years, even back to when Coach Dudley was there, they have lost so many close games. They've been competitive. They haven't been up there with just the elite, like region championship level, but they're going to be a playoff team. They give themselves a chance. I felt like in 3 years he did a good job. He stepped away, I think, on his own decision. And this is a good job. This is one of the better jobs in the state of Georgia. The pieces are there. It's not in complete disarray, but I felt like he did definitely more than a fair job. He was one of those hires that came from the state of Florida before Florida started kind of changing some of their legislation to incentivize the coaches to stay there, because there was kind of an exodus. We saw Travis Rowland come from mainland Florida to take the Camden job. Well, now that job's opening back up. So he's one of the big Florida coaches. He came from Lake Gibson to the state of Georgia, and we'll see where he ends up. But this is still a great job opportunity. You're going to be playing a big-time competition out in that Athens area.
Now let's take a look at headline 2. Mill Creek linebacker Braxton Rimbert has flipped his commitment from Wake Forest to Ohio State. He is a 3-star prospect in the 2026 class. He committed to Wake Forest back in June, but switched after receiving an Ohio State offer on October 26th. And Craig, this is a huge commitment to commit to Ohio State. Just talk about what you've seen out of Rimbert.
Yeah, no, that's definitely massive. And to me, he's 6'5", 200 pounds. That is huge for a linebacker. That gives him the ability to get his hands up, disrupt the passes. He has this size that you can really look at his skill set and fit him into his role at the next level. He's only 200 pounds, so I feel like he can add to that frame, definitely get up to 215. He might have already done that, but he's a guy that has come on really late. He's a senior. He's been getting his opportunities, and the film showed it this season. That's why he's gotten this opportunity. So it's a big get for the Buckeyes, and also a big commitment for him.
Moving on to headline 3, Mount Perrin claims their 14th straight GHSA cheerleading state championship. Yesterday, we actually got to hear from Penny Mitchell. She's the associate director of the GHSA, and she mentioned how powerful this Mount Perrin team is. Craig, how impressive is it to secure a state title 14 times in a row?
It is amazing. So I think when I look at 14 in a row, the only comparison I could possibly make to that is probably Jefferson in the sport of wrestling. That's the only team. Maybe Hayden might know, he's an encyclopedia, but that's incredible. 14 in a row for Mount Perrin. And what's interesting, you look at the sport of competition cheerleading. The schools out of Forsyth County, Lambert, South Forsyth, Forsyth Central, I'm sure I'm leaving North Forsyth, they've been, I think, the hub of the most talent. That's where there's all those academies. That's where the travel sports, the competition cheerleading. But then you went to Ola. They were new to the scene. They got into it. But you look at the the private schools, which private schools are invested in the sport of cheerleading, it's been Mount Perrin from the start. So they have kind of showed the standard. When you're a smaller private school, what does it take to be a state championship team? And in that sense, they have elevated the sport of cheerleading in the state by being that premier program at the private level.
Now let's take a look at headline 4. Harrison sophomore quarterback Aiden Watson rushes for 188 yards and 6 touchdowns to take Marietta down 45-35. And now they're going to see Carrollton this Friday night. Craig, how competitive does this Harrison team have the potential to be in the second round?
Yeah, well, very competitive. And this was nothing short of a heroic performance. 6 rushing touchdowns for Aiden Watson, only a sophomore, filling big shoes at that position. Just a huge playoff performance, and that's really going to open things up. Harrison has such a great passing game because of Aiden Watson, because of DJ Huggins, those targets. But when he's able to do it on the ground like that, that really is going to put pressure on the defense. Should be a big opportunity in the second round.
Looking at our last headline, Gainesville wins Region Appeal. They're placed in the Region 8 6A. Craig, just talk about your overall takeaways on this.
Yeah, I think this is good for Gainesville. They're going to be very excited about this. You look at the new format where only the region champion is guaranteed that automatic playoff berth. I feel like they're going to be able, in the sports like basketball, like football, to win this region and continue to be dominant. I feel like avoiding the Milton and Roswell, we saw what happened this year with how competitive it is. I feel like this is an opportunity for them to stay on top.
As I mentioned, our game of the week is going to be Grayson versus Colquitt County. Right after this short break, we're going to get the chance to hear from Colquitt County head coach Sean Calhoun. Don't go anywhere.
Nobody wants to hear the word roaches because who wants to admit they have roaches?
I actually found some weird roaches. I didn't know what they were. I decided to choose Breda. I reached out to them. They check in routinely. They're explaining what they're doing. So there's a lot of clarity in the process as well. I think that just speaks to the level of safety that I feel with the organization.
The facts are, roaches are everywhere in our environment. So what are you doing to keep them out of your home?
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Georgia's Rome is the place to be this holiday season. Visit our vibrant downtown. Enjoy live concerts. Go ice skating. Shop holiday markets. And book a Christmas trolley tour. Make your weekend getaway one to remember. Plan your fun now at RomeGeorgia.org.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career. And by Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters.
Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we will welcome Colquitt County football coach Sean Calhoun. Coach Calhoun, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Coach, your team defeated Mill Creek in the first round. Now, in the second round, your team will face Grayson. What have you been capitalizing on in practice this week?
Trying to keep our momentum up. After that Mill Creek win, that was 5 in a row for us. And just really focusing on a great week of preparation and a great performance on Friday night to beat a great team. And that's exactly what Grayson is. They're a great football team in all three phases, so anything less than a great performance from us, it's not going to go very well for us.
And, Coach, we've been talking all season about Georgia commit running back Jay Lamar. Just talk about what he brings to your program and what you've seen out of him this season.
He brings something to the table that we definitely don't have in the rest of our running backs or other offensive players. Just the explosiveness, the size, the speed, the ability to take it the distance. And obviously last week he had a really good game for us, and just hoping that he can capitalize on that. And we know Grayson's going to be. They're definitely going to know when he's on the field. So he's not going to be able to out-athlete him or outrun him sideline to sideline. So we've been really trying to focus on that because Grayson's team speed overall is fantastic, but their defensive speed is really good.
And then, Coach, you're talking about Grayson's team speed. Their athletes are very fast, but then the tempo which that offense runs is also very fast. They push the pace pretty relentlessly. I was at the Grayson-Newton game this year. I was kind of surprised just the no huddle, how quickly they attack. So how do you guys prepare just for that tempo defensively to go up against this offense that's going to want to go no huddle and push that pace?
Great question. Obviously something that we started talking to our kids about on Sunday, and it's something that we try to simulate in practice, but there's no way to simulate it. We're going to do the best we can, and with some drills and how you work it into some team periods, but I mean, really and truly, the biggest thing is after the very first series, or the first couple plays, our kids just really kind of settling in and just understand the pace that we're going to have to go to, go to and match their tempo, because it can cause major problems, and so we got to be able to adjust quickly.
And then you guys had that bye week before this last game, but you guys had to travel up to Gwinnett County. Same deal this week. So is the travel schedule going to be sort of the same as the last round?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it will be. So this will actually be our third long trip of the season. The other one was Richmond Hill, and that's a good little hike too. So we'll kind of mimic what we did with Mill Creek. Bring about half the team up Thursday, and then the rest of the team will meet us on Friday. So we just got to travel maturely and know that it's a business trip, and try to come home with a win that's going to be very, very difficult.
Coach, I wanted to ask about y'all's quarterback, Cohen Lawson. It feels like he's really grown since last time we got to see y'all. In that game against North Gwinnett, there was times that he really looked like a sophomore, but if you go look at his film from the last few games, he's really settled in there and is playing really good football. Just talk to me about him.
Yes, sir. So, like you want every kid in every position that starts multiple years. Obviously, you want to be better than the year before, and Cohen definitely has. And now that we're kind of getting into playoff game, this will be his fourth playoff game in 2 years. So you definitely want to see that growth, and he's really trending in the right direction. Obviously, number one thing for the quarterback position, if your quarterback plays well, you have a chance to win, and so that's why we're in the position that we're in. And he just got to continue to make smart decisions, and obviously going up against a very, very good defense that's only allowing 8 points a game. And so as long as he can continue to make good decisions and protect the football, we're going to have a chance.
And then, Coach, I wanted to ask about y'all's front seven, especially on the defensive line, a little undersized in places, but it just feels like they're flying to the ball. They're doing everything the right way. Just talk to me about that.
Absolutely. So we are definitely not blessed with height. For some reason, we just don't have a whole lot of height on the team, and so we have to use our strengths to our advantage, and that's us moving and stemming, and just got to be really good technicians, and then let our linebackers and safeties kind of do what we've done here at Colquitt County for a long time, and that's play fast and that's play physical. So again, we're going up against a team who not only snaps the ball fast and plays fast, but has really fast players, a really good offensive line, and so we're going to have to be very physical and definitely use our strengths, which is able to run to the football and strike. So hopefully we can do that.
And Coach, making it to the second round clearly already says a lot about your program, but just talk about that growth that you've seen from your team since week 1 of football.
Yes, obviously we kind of separated into 3 different sections, I guess you could say. Kind of the non-region schedule gets you ready for the region schedule, and our non-region schedule was extremely difficult, and we kind of do that on purpose to get ready for region play, because obviously our region arguably is the toughest in our classification, and then it just gets you ready for the playoffs. We tie for the region championship, and just with the tiebreaker, we fall to the 3 seed, and just have to play really good programs like Mill Creek and obviously Grayson now. So our kids have truly been bonding, and also, just like I said about Cohen, trending in the right direction, because you want to be playing your best football, entering region play and then entering the playoffs, and then each week you just got to play better because the opponents are better. And so obviously this is a great opponent, so we're going to have that great team chemistry and try to see if we can try to make one more play than them, and just hopefully in the fourth quarter we're within striking distance.
And Coach, with Jay Lamar and the running game you guys have, it opens up some opportunities out wide. Antoine Lockett's been a big threat for you guys at the receiver position. How has he been able to just be that reliable go-to target?
Yes, sir. So Antoine's been a great addition for us. He's proven to catch some underneath stuff very, very, very consistently. Obviously, last couple of weeks, he's been able to stretch the defense a little bit, and and that obviously goes to the offensive line and tight ends blocking, and the rest of the receivers and everybody, running their routes, whether it was take a safety this way, linebacker this way. But Antoine's been doing a really good job of, when the ball gets around him, to go up and make a catch. And obviously, this is one of the best secondaries that we've played all season. So we know that they're definitely going to know where he is, but as a kid who's got really good work ethic, really good practice player, and really good hands. We don't have a whole lot of guys that just can fully extend and catch it away from their body, and he's definitely one of the ones that we have. So hoping he has a big game too on Friday.
And then, Coach, just to close things out, just talk about some other leaders that you've seen step up in your program this season.
Definitely one of the first ones that comes to mind is our Mike linebacker, Braden Ruiz, a kid who's coming off shoulder surgery last season, and tore late in the season. He kind of messed up his shoulder again. Kid who probably should have shoulder surgery and be done with his season, but he's bracing it up, and he's been playing every week, so he's been doing a fantastic job. Had probably arguably the biggest play of the game last week against Mill Creek, a big time sack fumble that we scooped and really kind of flipped the field and flipped the game, and but him and then our captains, senior right tackle Jamal Jackson, senior safety Alfonso McNeil, senior corner Rashid Fuller, and senior defensive lineman Cam Gay. Those kids have just been, just kind of the glue, and just have really kept us together, and just keep everybody going, and they definitely want to extend their season, just like I'm sure Grayson's seniors want to continue to play. So when you have some good senior leadership and those seniors are kind of leading the way, hopefully everybody will follow.
Again, that was Colquitt County football coach Sean Calhoun. Coach Calhoun, thank you for joining us, and best of luck in the second round.
Well, thank you very much. I'll take all the luck I can get. That's a funny shaped ball, but thank y'all for having me, and go Pack.
We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Stay tuned. Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we're going to take some time looking at our Corky basketball event coming up on Friday, December 12th. Today we're just going to spend some time talking about these Friday matchups, and then we'll get into those Saturday matchups later. But guys, on Friday at 4:30, you're going to see the Hebron girls team versus Cherokee Bluff. At 6 o'clock, you're going to see the Lovett boys versus the Cherokee Bluff boys. 7:30, Alcovey girls versus Newton girls. And at 9 o'clock, to close it out, you're going to see Alcovey boys versus Newton boys. Guys, I want to ask, for people who have never been to this event before, what can they expect?
Well, there's a lot of basketball events we're going to see during the Thanksgiving break, the Christmas holiday time, and then that leads up to the region tournament. But this is one of the earlier showcases where you really get an opportunity to see a collection of different classifications, some matchups that are really going to help prepare the teams. And that's kind of what we've seen in the past years. But this year we have, I think, a more established list of opponents. I mean, Hebron Christian, Cherokee Bluff opening this up on the girls' side. I feel like that is one of the better matchups. You got two teams that have the ability to win state championships this year, both play incredible team basketball, and both just kind of have an identity. So it's going to be, I think, a good test for both these teams.
Yeah, I think when you look at these, especially these first two games, Hebron Christian is a powerhouse in the private classification. They won, I believe, 2 straight before last year in that classification. They didn't win it last year, kind of a shocking upset. And then Cherokee Bluff won the 3A state title last year on the girls' side. I mean, that's just a monstrous matchup to start this off with. And then you go to the boys' side. Lovett's a great program. Cherokee Bluff, I think right now, is a top 4 3A boys program. Another great game. Then you look at that Newton-Alcovey, both those Newton-Alcovey games. That's a huge rivalry. Those are 2 Covington schools. Those are 2 big Covington schools. And Newton has been really good last year. They played for a state title on the boys' side. Just really exciting matchups.
Yeah, and then I know you remember last year when we were talking to Coach Azar at Hebron Christian. They got hit with so many injuries last year. It's pretty unbelievable. By the time they got to the finals, which they somehow made it to playing Holy Innocents, they were just like, I mean, really thin on that bench. So I feel like this year they're going to be healthy again. Last year, when you deal with all that adversity and you fall up short, you know that it doesn't kind of mean the same as being full strength and missing the opportunity. So I feel like they're really going to come out sharp, and Cherokee Bluff's a great team.
And guys, you mentioned it, but that Hebron girls basketball team, definitely a powerhouse. Actually, right now they have 3 D1 commits on their roster. What are you most looking forward to seeing from this team?
Well, they have a lot of size, but the thing about Cherokee Bluff, I mean, both of these programs, you can say they play very well as a team. I mean, that's obvious, but Cherokee Bluff, they really have this relentless defense. They're able to get the ball out in transition, but not just convert it into fast break points. They're well controlled. They don't have a lot of turnovers. They have outside shooters, and they just move around the court very well. And that's what it takes when you play some of these really talented teams with the D1 stars. You got to be able to move the ball. That's what Cherokee Bluff does extremely well on the girls' side.
Well, and when you look at this Cherokee Bluff team, they only lost 1 player from last year, not 1 starter, 1 player. And this was the team that won the 3A title. I mean, they won a playoff game on the last second shot last year. This is a team that is hard to kill. They fight 4 quarters. It's going to be just an amazing matchup just because, I mean, Jane Azar has 16 titles for a reason. Cherokee Bluff is the defending 3A title winner. I'm just really excited for that matchup.
And then we see right here at 6 o'clock, we're going to get to see this Lovett boys team play. Guys, what are you looking forward to seeing from this Lovett boys team?
Yeah, super talented, one of the better programs. When you play in this private classification, boys or girls, that really is some of the best basketball in the state. I mean, you look at last year with the brackets on both the boys and girls side, it's not just the powerhouse teams. This is some of the most talented individual prospects in the state are competing in this classification. Lovett has a tremendous region. They're going to be battle tested. They're going to see it all. They're going to see the 7-footers, the 4 stars, the 5 stars, but they've been able to just have their formula for success and have that toughness. And I feel like that Love at Cherokee Bluff boys game, it's going to come down to just hard defense and making every single shot be earned.
And guys, we know that the Corky Classic has always been known for football, but now basketball has been added. Just talk about the exposure that this gives the athletes to be able to play on Atlanta News First and the Peachtree Sports Network.
Yeah, it's huge, and that's one of the things. Once we got the network, the Peachtree Sports Network, this was something that we wanted to do for a long time, but it just made sense with the TV component to be able to give the sport of basketball what football had, and that is the ability to put these games on TV and help set the storylines for the season, give these kids an opportunity to play in the big stage, go back and watch it. They're going to be able to show their friends and family these performances for a long time.
Well, and in addition to that, this year it's even a bigger stage than ever before. One, it's on A&F, which is it's a much bigger stage than on the Peachtree Sports Network. We're still on the Peachtree Sports Network. It's an amazing network, but A&F is the over-the-air cable channel in Atlanta. So that's one thing. Two, we've got it on a weekend this year. The first year we were competing with the SEC Championship. Last year, the first round of the playoffs. This year, there's no football on that Saturday. We will be one of the few things on. I just can't wait for these kids to get this exposure and to really get a lot of eyes on them that normally wouldn't get to see them.
And then lastly, guys, the matchup I want to ask about, Alcovey and Newton. This is a crosstown rivalry. These teams are going to play on Friday night. What are you looking forward to in this matchup?
Yeah, well, Newton has been, they're a higher classification. They've been in that state championship conversation, but there is a lot of pride on the line with these two Covington schools. And you look at last year, the girls, I think, were 11-14. They're off to a great start this season. The boys coming off a big winning season. They've had some tough losses early on, but they're going to be battle-tested going into this matchup.
Yeah, but like when you look at this rivalry, Alcovey missed the playoffs last year. They had a winning season, played in a tough region, but this still was only a 10-point game. This was not a blowout game, and Newton made the state finals. I'm really excited to see what both these two teams can do.
Again, that Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic basketball event is going to be Friday, December 12th at Newton High School. You can buy tickets and go in person or tune in on the Atlanta News First or the Peachtree Sports Network. We will be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Don't go anywhere.
Customer service is everything in our industry, and one thing our clients love is when they call Breda, they get a live representative. At Breda, you get the attention you need and deserve right when you call in. Your appointment gets scheduled right then and there, and you get a specific time, no window of arrival. Our staff are your neighbors. They know what's going on in your community, and they're invested in doing it better.
Breda, Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
You may know Tidal Wave Auto Spa as the world's greatest car wash, but did you know Tidal Wave also has the easiest fundraiser? So easy, our mascots think they can do anything, like making the big play on the big stage. Okay, maybe just a dream, but it is a super easy fundraiser. Just sell wash tickets and watch the money come in. If your team, school, church, or group needs funds, go to TidalWaveAutospa.com and get started today.
Nothing is as pure and special as high school sports in the state of Georgia. And Score Atlanta is its #1 fan. High school sports are about families, kids chasing their dreams, communities supporting their teams year in and year out, neighborhood signs, and off-season workouts when nobody's looking. It's the biggest stage that young athletes get to climb for the very first time.
And Score Atlanta wants to connect your brand with Georgia high school sports in ways that have never been available before. In addition to our Georgia High School Sports Daily Show, Score Atlanta provides continuous coverage of the Georgia high school football season through its televised games, stories, and rankings. Score Atlanta puts on some of the most notable events like the Corky Dave Hunter Classic, the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame, and the Georgia Elite Classic. All of these elements offer sponsors exclusive opportunities and exposure. So let's talk about how you can reach millions of people who enjoy Georgia high school sports. For more information, contact Score Atlanta today.
Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we will welcome Newton Boys basketball coach Barry Browner. Coach Browner, thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate you guys having me.
So, Coach, your team just secured their first win of the season over Paideia. Just what did you see from your team that you liked in this game?
Oh, man, I think we're growing. We played our scrimmage game was against Cross Creek, who I think is going to be pretty good. One of the best teams in the state in 3A. We played McEachern and we played Wilson Academy, two other great programs. But I've seen growth in our guys so much. Like they're just like we had a great practice yesterday, and I think guys are the win kind of get the monkey off our back a little bit. So I think the guys were excited, and you know we got some work to do, but we're getting there.
And then, Coach, just talk me a little through what your off season and the preparation for your athletes looked like for the season.
Well, as you know, our roster has totally flipped from our off season. We had two guys transfer. Two guys went to OTE, and we had another kid transfer to a school in the state. So we're asking some guys to do some things. We got some freshmen. We got a freshman that we're very high on, Kingston Calhoun, who we think is going to be pretty special. As you can see in the picture, my four seniors, Jaden Scott, Jared White, TJ Sands, and Caden Young. And two of those guys, TJ and Caden, they were the only ones who returned from a team that went to the state championship game last year. So I think just trying to blend and match some guys together. And, you know, like I said, we're growing as a group. We're growing as coaches. So we're excited for what we're going to do for the next, for this upcoming season.
And then, Coach, with Jalen Scott and Jared White coming in this year, you talked about TJ Sands, some of the other seniors. How has their role kind of changed with this new look?
It's changed tremendously because, like I said, again, really our group haven't really played together under the whistle with me. This is like the game against Cross Creek was the first game. So, you know, we played in a couple of fall leagues and showcases in the summer. But in the fall, but like TJ's role has expanded. TJ is our leader. He's averaging, I think right now he's averaging 8 points and 6 rebounds. Jared's averaging 12. Jaden is leading us in assists with 4 assists a game. Caden Young, man, he's playing so big for us right now. He just got an offer from Tougaloo yesterday, as a matter of fact. So he's extremely excited. And the young guy, Emmanuel Wilder, sophomore, who's about 6'8", 215, he's a load down there. He's going to be tough. And, you know, we talk about Kingston and got a couple other sophomores and juniors that are going to be pretty good. So.
I mean, Coach,
so everybody's role kind of expanded.
For sure. And then who've been some of the guys that you've seen so far that have been able to provide that reliable outside shooting?
Right now, Jared shot the ball extremely well. I mean, Jared's a scorer. He scores basketball at a high rate, and he shoots the ball at a high rate, and that's something that we worked on with him. You know, just to make him a better shooter. We think Champion Dent shoots the ball pretty good as a sophomore. Jaden, we've been playing Jaden on and off the ball a little bit, so it's giving Jaden a little bit of freedom, and Jaden showed that he can score. He played very well at the On the Radar Classic the other week, and I think he got Player of the Game honors or something. So,
Coach, I wanted to ask about how you blend this really young team that doesn't have a lot of experience with also trying to compete at the highest level of the sport in the state. Just how do you blend those two things together and still have that expectations that y'all have built over the years?
Yeah, our standard is our standard. Like these guys understand they're coming into a situation where there's a lot of expectation. Though we lost guys, there's still an expectation for us to get back to the state championship game. There's still an expectation for us to win the region championship. So I think they understand that, and I think they've taken on the task. And I know my freshman, my sophomore, I always joke with them all the time, like, man, guys, I know this is hard. And they're like, Coach, by December, they'll be fine. I tell them, like, y'all are freshmen and sophomores now, but you guys are gonna grow up really quick, and you know, once region play in January hits, we'll be all right.
And then, Coach, even though y'all lost a good many players in the offseason, y'all still have a lot of size. Just how do you use that to really kind of impose your will on opposing teams?
Well, you know what? I'll be honest. I think, man, we spend a lot of time. My coaches do a really good job in practice, and we do a lot of breakdowns, guard post breakdowns. So we spend a lot of times, like, with the little things, the nuances of the game, and just showing them things that you don't have time because it's fast paced. You don't have time to show them, but. And they're taking the coaching, man. They're doing really, I'm really proud of this group because, like I said, there's a lot of expectation for these guys, regardless of losing guys or not. So I think they've kind of responded to the challenge, and just look forward to it. Look forward to where we're going to be at.
And then, Coach, Newton's no stranger to the spotlight. You guys played in nationally televised games before, but how excited do you feel like your team is to be in the Corky event this year playing out Kobe?
Man, this is awesome. I always talk to these guys. About our community is a big thing for me. And I think one of the things we talked about in the Corky was playing out Kobe, which is a crosstown rival. And they gave us a challenge last year. We only beat them by 10. So I think his exposure for not only Newton basketball, but Alcovey basketball and Newton County School District. Like, I think that's one of the big things that my AD and I talk about, and my county athletic director, we talk about all the time. Just like, how can we put, we're on the map, but we want to try to bring everybody else up as well. So this is exciting. And, like I said, this is something that these guys they'll never forget and get a chance to put on TV. So.
And then, Coach, just talk about some of those players that you've seen early on this season on your roster that have impressed you.
Oh man, I got to start. My 4 seniors have been they've been rocks. They've kind of taken the young guys under their wing a little bit, and so Jared, TJ, Jaden, and Caden, they've been good. Emmanuel Wilder is he's got a chance to be really special. He's a 6'8" sophomore. And he gets, the little things. It's just the little things he does. Like, he made a left-handed jump hook the other day, and he was like, man, Coach, we work on that all the time. And I think Kingston Clohar, freshman. He's going to be really special. Champion Dent, Landon Garrett, those guys. Like I said, all these guys are really impressed me. They do something new every day in practice when we watch them, and just really impressed with what they're doing. And they're like really growing up in front of your eyes. And we were talking about that last night after practice, how we just see so much growth and so much development, and they're taking the challenge. That's the biggest thing.
And then, Coach, I wanted to ask about this non-region schedule. You kind of touched on it earlier. This is a really tough non-region schedule y'all put together. Just what does that do for your team?
I think that gives them confidence. I think if you don't understand the scope of basketball, Georgia basketball is some of the best basketball in the country. And so my non-region schedule, is Cross Creek, who's very good. They've got a Division I recruit. McEachern is McEachern. The Wilson Academy, it's a great talented school. We'll play Cedar Grove this year. We'll play Douglas. We'll play Mays. Of course, we play Grayson. And then we're going to kind of step outside of that a little bit. And I'm excited to play Gray Collegiate out of South Carolina, which is a nationally known program in Spain Park out of Alabama. So I think that prepares us. I think once we get the regions on, I don't think there's anything we haven't seen yet. So these guys won't be shocked to it. So I think that's the cool part about playing this schedule. And they understand it. And the guys, I'll be honest, the guys who transfer here, that's what they came here for. They came here to play that type of schedule. And we played that type of schedule last year, and it got us to the state championship game.
Again, that was Newton boys basketball coach Barry Browner. Coach Browner, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck to your team moving forward in the season.
I appreciate it, and thank y'all for having me.
We'll be right back after this short break with more Georgia High School Sports Daily. Stay tuned. Welcome back into Georgia High School Sports Daily. We are at the Breda Pest Management Sports Desk, and now we're going to take a look at some 2025 head football coach openings. Guys, typically we see about 75 to 80 openings a year. And Hayden, we were just talking about this before the break, but this list will not be fully compiled and finished until about April. But now we have 25 teams on this list, guys. Let's just start off by talking about some of the biggest job openings you see on this list.
Yeah, there's some huge ones. I think a program like Allatoona is a big one. That's a team that's won a state championship before. And if you look at their finish this past year, 3-7 overall record, but they were very competitive in this region. They lost to Dalton by 9 points. They played Cartersville pretty tough for a half. They lost by Cass, their season finale, 22-19. So they are not far off. A very even season this year. They scored 260 points, allowed 267. They've got a lot of talent and tradition there. They're always going to be in a tough region. I think that's an interesting opening. But what's also, I guess, characteristic of the coaching carousel, we see the jobs open up, but then once you get a big hire at one of these, then the carousel really starts to begin in earnest, and coaches will leave their current position to take that next step up. So we're seeing the jobs open, but we aren't seeing them filled probably until after the season.
Yeah, I feel like another one of the bigger ones is that Bainbridge job. They've had some problems in the last 2 or 3 years. However, I believe 2015 they won a state title. That's a really big program. It's Kirby Smart's alma mater. They want to be great. They want to win championships. There may be some problems in the administration. I don't know. That's just some of the rumors that I've heard. But that's a great job. That's one of those South Georgia jobs that a lot of coaches just dreamed of. Coaches have lost jobs just trying to apply to the Bainbridge job in the past. I think that's a really interesting one.
And then, guys, just talk to me about maybe some of the more under-the-radar jobs here.
Well, there's a bunch of them. If you throw the graphic back up, but some of these schools, like let's just use Salem as an example. This will be their fourth head coach in 5 years. So some of these teams have been on the carousel for a long time. But I think when you look at the underrated jobs, it's teams that have had more continuity. So that'd be a St. Pius with Coach Garrison. He replaced Coach Standard. There have not been a lot of head coaches there, so they have kind of a standard, pun intended, of how they do things at the school. But that is such a proud program and an opportunity to come in there. You have the alumni support, the administration that Hayden was mentioning how key that is. I feel like that is a big opportunity.
I think when you look at under-the-radar jobs, Winder-Barrow is one of those jobs that everyone forgets exists. Obviously, it's a pretty good job. Heath Webb was there, kind of built the program to what it is now. He built that into the Gainesville head coach job. Didn't work out. He's gone up to Lumpkin County, done great things. I think he's already the second winningest coach in Lumpkin County. Coach Dudley went up there, didn't do what he's done at other places, but had a good tenure up there. And then Coach Paxia, who just left, the last 2 years they've been really good. Haven't won a region title, but the talent that's there right now is really good. If you can keep that there and you can build off what Coach Paxia and Coach Dudley and Coach Webb has built over the past decade, that's a job that you may be able to turn into maybe even a state title contender.
And then, guys, let's look at this list one last time. Just to close out the conversation with this, I want to ask about who is maybe the most surprising opening on the list?
Well, that's a good question. Surprising. Honestly, it's probably Winder-Barrow. I didn't expect Coach Paxi to leave like that. I think Allatoona, Coach Smith stepping down is also surprising. South Paulding, Coach Maurice Allen, I felt like he had done a great job trying to build them back up into a big-time contender out of Paulding County. But there's a lot of teams on here that we have seen them in the carousel kind of routinely. Teams like North Springs have had a ton of turnover, so not as surprising. But we were talking about how Mountain View, out of some of these Gwinnett County schools, that is a team that has been competitive out of Coach Point event. I feel like that's an opportunity to find a Gwinnett job and maybe turn that into a 6-4 team that's going to be able to make the playoffs and have a lot of talent coming through there.
I think for me, the most surprising opening is that Fannin County job. because this is a job that they didn't fire their head coach. He's taken a different role inside the program. But that's a team that last year made the quarterfinals. I think they competed for a region title this year. They're always in that 2A region, one of the top teams in that region. That's a good job. That's not a job that just comes up very often. It may be really hard to win state titles at a place like Fannin County, but you're always going to be good. You're always going to have a lot of talent. You're always going to be a good team because the administration there wants to be good, and they support their coaches. And I think that's one of those jobs that a lot of coaches, a lot of big-name coaches that maybe you wouldn't expect would apply for that job are going to be applying for that job.
And then, guys, today we got to hear from Sean Calhoun, the Colquitt County coach, but they have weapons like Jay Lamar and Antoine Lockett. Just talk about how they can utilize these weapons on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, that's key. When Jay Lamar, we talked to Jack yesterday, that SEC speed, that ability to kind of slip out, have the home run ability, that sucks in the defense. And then when you have the weapons that Colquitt does outside, if they can be balanced offensively, that's going to be the key. Yeah,
I think a lot of this is going to come down to Cohen Lawson. If he can get the ball out to his wide receivers like Antoine Lockett, they can be successful. This is going to be a really uphill battle for them. They're not as talented as this Grayson team. They're not as talented as they were 2 or 3 years ago. However, this is still a really well-coached team. Coach Calhoun has done an amazing job there. I mean, you just have to sit there and say they have a shot in this game, which is not something you say much against Grayson.
Again, you can tune in here for that game starting at 7:30 on Friday night for our pregame show. We're going to have kickoff at 8 o'clock, and then stick around after. We're going to be talking about all the big second-round matchups. As always, thank you for tuning in with us today, and we will be right back here tomorrow with more Georgia High School Sports Daily.
We saw some squirrels were trying to get into the attic. I hear those squirrels still scampering through because I didn't go through those services initially.
Our job is to go up there and figure out where they're getting in and trap and remove and get those unwanted guests out. But then the next big step is not just seal the entry point where the critter got in, but seal the entire roof line. The most common mistake is only sealing the entry point you see.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know, just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
For a healthier future together, look to Northside Hospital.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of battle? Will you still train like a champion in the pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrical worker. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.